I have a hard time just with the question in general because the idea of Daryl Morey just saying, okay, we don't need Damian Lillard, we'll take CJ McCollum, that's not something people out of Philly have been reporting is okay. Like Morey is looking for Damian Lillard, not for CJ McCollum and a couple other people in return for Ben Simmons. However, if that is the case, if for some reason, he's convinced otherwise, I'm not a fan of blowing the entire thing up if you're Portland, because how often are you going to get a Damian Lillard? Not just a superstar of that caliber, but somebody who's willing to stay and work, with a new GM even, and with, people to rebuild this thing a little bit. And so, they haven't been themselves this year. He hasn't been himself this year. He's dealing with an abdominal injury. He's out for a little while longer. And so if you can pull that off, if you can not only keep your megastar in Damian Lillard, but get a better complementary player who, if he just kind of maintains the way he's been playing, the previous portion of his career, will be a Hall of Famer, whether he can shoot a three or not.
Right.
Like, that's the type of pairing in Portland that, or any sort of smallish market team that you're always dreaming of. And so, no offense to McCollum or anything else, it's just a redundancy of skills there. There has been over some time. There really hasn't been a backcourt that really works like that in terms of two really just scoring first guys. And so I would absolutely do it. I think, reportedly Lillard wants to play with Ben Simmons, which is not something you hear players talk out loud, and say, hey, I want to play with that guy. So I think it'll obviously be a welcome, landing spot for Ben. So, if Morey is okay with this, if he gives the blessing and allows for this trade to happen, I think that's the way to do it.
June, I tend to agree, basically based on that last part, which is that if Dame Lillard wants to do this, you do it. I mean, what are we talking about here? This is Portland. This is not some team or some city that's got outsized, plans for what this NBA team is supposed to be. This is going to be the best pairing they've seen in a while, and it's probably going to be more fun than it's been in the last couple seasons. There's no way I'm blowing it up at this point, especially if two guys want to actually do this together. I don't know what they think that their expectations are in terms of the Trailblazers and their fan base, but it's not like the Larry O'Brien Trophy's been walking through that door all sorts every other year for the past 20 years. You get an entertaining product, you get some superstars, you get a good night of the week every other night at the arena. Okay, that's who you are. You're the Portland Trailblazers. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I think to your guys' points, like, this is kind of the best situation that they can put together right now, but where the Blazers made a mistake, I think, was not trading CJ McCollum and rolling back with Yusuf Nurkic for the last 3 years. We knew a while ago that this wasn't going to work, that this personnel group wasn't good enough. They got pretty far in the playoffs once, and then they didn't really do anything to improve that team. They didn't really add a ton of depth. They've added a couple, young guys who are good, like Anthony Simons, but this is Blazers team fundamentally was not built well to continue to win over the course of the last couple of years. So that's the big problem that's happened in Portland, I think. More so than trying to figure out after the fact, McCollum isn't good enough to be a number two on a legit really good playoff team, even a championship contender. This is the best possible situation, but I think the fact that this is the best possible situation for the Blazers speaks to how badly the personnel situation has been mismanaged around Dame over the course of the last couple of years.
Let's look at some of Lillard's numbers here. Okay, yeah, he's down about 3 buckets a game. Field goal percentage.
Here's what's concerning to me.
The free throw average is a real issue too. That shows a lack. I don't want to say a lack of aggressiveness, but that's not how you want that to go for a guy that's that ball dominant whatsoever. That's not great.
And that's not Dame's game either when he's not getting to the free throw line.
Right. Oh, drop my pencil.
Anyway. The dangers of live shows. You guys can hear me, okay? Right?
What are those things actually called? Like, what are the names of those things?
I think they're tube men.
Tube men? Is that correct? Izzy, I feel like you have information on this. Do you know what those are called?
I do not. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can't hear Izzy anymore. June,
I can't hear Izzy either.
Okay, well then we're just going to point at Izzy and make fun of him. Where do we think Izzy got this shirt? No, this is what we have to do since he can't talk. We have to figure out where
Express.
I was going to say that's definitely either Express or
Izzy seems offended.
Or possibly Armani Exchange. That's possible. We can't see him. It doesn't work the same way. Dang it. All right. Anyway.
Clinton, have you ever seen, speaking of tube men, have you ever seen there's a cousin of the tube man, which is the pizza chef guy, who's if you
No.
There's a win thing where the pizza chef guy goes like this.
What is he doing?
He's like telling you to come into the restaurant.
So it's like Ron Washington waving you home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's on there's one on 14th Street in New York.
I need to
I
check
see
this
all
out.
the time, and it is so hilarious to watch because you see this like enormous pizza man just like waving a guy in like he's trying to wave a guy in home.
For those of you who don't know, Ron Washington, third base coach of the World Series champion Atlanta baseball team. Izzy, are we back?
I don't know. Am I?
Yes, you are. So confirmation
All right.
on where we got the shirt.
Ted Baker. It's not an Express.
Excuse me.
Slightly offended. Slightly offended.
It's basically upscale Express.
Upscale Express, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. It's
With
the same.
upscaling with tiny sizes. One thing I was going to say, I was a little bit concerned with the Blazers is, you saw those defensive ratings up there this year. They're 29th. They were 30th at some point. And this was Chauncey Billups like lighting up his team about defensive effort and saying, hey, our starters shouldn't have to inspire our bench. It should be the other way around, and did this and that. And, when you have a new coach, when you got a guy that you respect, like the one thing you do is play hard for him, and it doesn't feel like they're doing that.
No.
At least, by his own words, it doesn't feel like they're doing that. You've got Damian Lillard, who when he was playing, like not very happy with the situation because in large part he's not being used as much in the pick and roll, and maybe that could be, by design to sort of get him, comfortable or get the defense's eyes off of him, maybe move him around off the ball a little bit more like Steph. But talk about a guy who fits into that situation right there as a ball-handling pick-and-roll guy. It's Ben Simmons. So if you're going to take the ball out of Damian Lillard's hands, I'm cool with giving it to Ben Simmons, forcing things into the paint or just, kicking out the three-point shooters. He was great at that in Philadelphia. I believe, created the most three-point shots last year while he was there. So, I think if you're the Blazers right now and they fired Neil O'Shea, which didn't have so much to do with his moves on the court, or what I'm saying.
Yes.
it was bigger issues there with Neil. But who else are you going to listen to your point there, Clinton? Like, this should be Damian Lillard's time to speak up and be listened to. And again, to me, this isn't a Portland decision. This is a Philadelphia decision. But if they're okay with this, I think it's a great move.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.